Kawhi Leonard, the Klaw, one of the best, if not the best, two-way players in the league. His robotic efficiency and AI-like instincts on defense make him a terrifying man to play in the playoffs. He's also known for many things. His definitely not computer-generated laugh, his unique trash talk, and being a fun guy. He's definitely one of those top guys in the league, which makes it not surprising that fans salivated when they heard the news that Kawhi declined his player option. Oh boy, Kawhi might want to go to us, even though we barely have any cap space. Let's try and take a look at a situation where Kawhi does leave for another team, namely Golden State. First off, a fair warning. Kawhi declining his player option does not mean he's gonna leave. Far from it. Actually, many top officials believe that Leonard will re-sign with the Clippers, declining a player option that has been a trendy option for many superstar free agents for a while now. Why do they do this? Well, it helps them negotiate a larger contract, especially if they had a career year in their prime. And it can also be a show of goodwill from a player. A player may opt out of his player option and sign a smaller contract to get a better supporting cast. And also, remember, this is a man who left a championship team in Toronto to go home to Los Angeles and build a super team there. If a championship, finals MVP, and being immortalized as a hero for a whole damn country isn't enough to take Kawhi's eyes off a sunny LA, what else can? However, it should be noted that we've seen Kawhi leave two teams now, both for different reasons. His messy exit from San Antonio showed us one thing. If Kawhi doesn't like the ownership or the decision the front office makes, he is more than willing to leave. It's very unlikely that the Clippers mess up as drastically as the Spurs did. Didn't listen to Kawhi, try to force him to play, being publicly called out by his own teammates. But hey, it's the Clippers. They might just find a way to do that. There's also no teams looking to pry Leonard away from the Clippers. It's kind of like the bro code of the NBA. They see that Kawhi and the Clippers are in a nice, healthy relationship, and so they stay clear of the two. There's just no point in persuading Kawhi right now, not while he hasn't shown any signs of distrust of the team. One hypothetical team that Kawhi can go to is Golden State. Let's say in this hypothetical scenario that Leonard becomes disgruntled with the team. Maybe Marcus Morris spilled a cup of coffee on him, or Steve Ballmer hugs him a little too tight. You decide. It's just a hypothetical anyway. Point is, Kawhi's unhappy. Rumors are leaking that he wants out. Or maybe a little bit more realistic scenario is one where Kawhi's injury starts to become a factor in his play. His quad injuries have slowed him down at times, and it's even more prominent at the tail end of the season. Back when he was in Toronto, there were many times during the ECF or the finals where he would come up limping after a play. Even in LA, that has happened, where it's almost like he's running out of battery. If the front office decides he's more of a liability than an asset, they could try to trade him. This is still, though, very unlikely. The Clippers can cruise through the regular season just fine with limited Kawhi games, and there's no reason to say that his quadriceps tendinopathy has completely nullified his value. We're just playing out this scenario as a thought experiment, and really, in either of these options, trading away Kawhi is better than nothing. At the very least, they might be able to get a nice package of role players to help Paul George. It's like the golden rule of NBA trading and off-season negotiation. If you have a sinking asset, or an asset that will be gone soon, you have to try and get some compensation for it. For the Warriors though, oh boy, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, Draymond Green. It'll be a repeat of the first Warriors super team, a team so unguardable every team is forced to yield to their sheer dominance. Well, that's when looking at this from a theoretical perspective. On paper, 4 All-Stars in the same team is a terrifying prospect. With 2 elite defenders on that team, they could be a menace on defense. And of course, guarding a Curry-Leonard pick and roll is just a nightmare to defend. Switch and you get bullied by Leonard or spun around by Curry. However, this all only works on paper. Kawhi's injury has limited his mobility, and he isn't as locked in on defense as he was in San Antonio. Klay's injury is also a question mark. We've seen players return to normal after Achilles injuries, but it's a rare occasion. Also, we are assuming that Kawhi will be traded there. As it stands, the Warriors have very limited options when it comes to trading for Kawhi. LAC in this situation would want someone who could contribute immediately, and the Warriors can't offer much in terms of competing now. James Wiseman and Jonathan Kuminga are long-term projects, while Kelly Oubre Jr. won't move the needle much for them. The only real piece that they can offer is Andrew Wiggins, who has somewhat rehabilitated his career in Golden State, but still nowhere near Kawhi's level. They have to give up a lot of their already shallow depth to get Kawhi, since they needed a lot of contracts to match Kawhi's contract. But the possibility is tantalizing for the Warriors fans. Get another superstar to maximize Curry's prime is first priority, and Leonard is prime pickings for them. Hypothetically, why would Kawhi Leonard want to go to Golden State? Well, two hypothetical reasons. One, Golden State's home turf. The Chase Center is close enough to Los Angeles that if he wanted to leave the Clippers, he could still visit his family. Secondly, the Warriors are a team that can afford to rest him and still compete for the playoffs. Kawhi's body has degenerated since he injured his quad 4 years ago. For him to contribute and carry a team, he needs to preserve his body as much as possible for the big games in the postseason. The Clippers with Paul George could do that, but in the playoffs, the burden would simply be too big for George to carry alone. In Golden State, he will be able to rely on Stephen Curry to have big games when he's out, along with Clay and Draymond. The team can win even without him, so he'll be able to play when it matters most. However, this hypothetical only happens if, and only if, the front office of the Clippers messes up. In the Steve Ballmer era, they haven't had any egregious mistakes. They've done all the right things in terms of roster construction and keeping their stars happy. There's no indication that Kawhi would want to leave LA, but hey, who knows? If Kawhi does ask for a trade, look out for the Warriors. They're gonna be a problem.